The Cobra's challenge. Sweat slicked Kevin the Cobra Chan's hair as he unleashed a spinning hook kick, the blow whistling past the punching bag. The canvas protested with a dull thud against its restraints. "Witness that," he barked, his voice bouncing off the bare walls of the near-empty dojo. Precision. Raw power. Cobra style incarnate. His sparse class, a mixed bag from gawky teens to a determined middle-aged woman seeking better self-defense skills, reacted with a spectrum of belief. Young Mikey, ever eager to please, applauded with gusto. Mrs. Olsen, on the other hand, simply adjusted her spectacles, her face an enigma. Kevin sank into a horse stance, swiping his forehead with a damp hand. "This humble dojo," he proclaimed, chest puffed out, "forges champions. And I, Kevin the Cobra Chan, am undeniable proof." He straightened, striking a pose perfected in countless mirror sessions. "There isn't a pugilist in this town who could last to the third bell with me." A nervous cough echoed from the back. It was David, the usually reticent student, voice barely a whisper. Even Master Lee," he questioned, name-checking the revered martial arts master who lorded over the prestigious Golden Dragon Academy. Kevin snorted. "Lee? He's practically fossilized. Probably needs a prune juice break between forms. I could dismantle him. I could dismantle anyone." A sweeping gesture nearly sent a stack of cracked boards tumbling. "Heck, I bet I could pummel that granite guardian outside the First National Bank." Eyes tight. The boast lingered, a heady blend of arrogance and quiet desperation. The dojo was bleeding dry, and Kevin was acutely aware. He craved a victory, a true test, something to revitalize his flagging aspirations. Little did he suspect how soon fortune would answer, nor the unusual guise it would adopt. Silent sentinel. The humid D.C. air hung heavy as Kevin, fresh from another disastrous demo at his struggling dojo, approached the tomb of the unknown soldier. He'd come seeking inspiration, a way to reignite the Cobra's fire. Tourists milled about, snapping photos and chattering, their voices a stark contrast to the hushed reverence that settled as the changing of the guard commenced. Kevin watched, momentarily forgetting his woes. The precision, the crisp salutes, the rhythmic click of heels on the marble, it was mesmerizing. But it was Specialist Miller, the sentinel on duty, who truly captured his attention. Miller stood motionless, a statue carved from granite and resolve. His jaw was set, eyes fixed straight ahead, not a flicker of emotion betrayed. Kevin, a man whose life revolved around physical discipline, was both impressed and challenged. He tried to detect the slightest tremor, the smallest shift in posture, anything that revealed the human beneath the uniform. Nothing. The new sentinel arrived, the rifle exchange executed with flawless synchronization. Miller, relieved of his post, pivoted with mechanical grace and marched away, each step measured, each movement deliberate. Kevin felt a strange pull, a sense of awe mixed with a gnawing curiosity. What kind of control did it take to achieve such stillness? What thoughts churned beneath the impassive facade? It was a different kind of strength than he understood, a silent, unwavering power that resonated deep within him. An unthinkable request. Kevin the Cobra Chan, sweat plastering his GI to his back, landed a clumsy spinning heel kick that nearly sent young Timmy sprawling. "Feel the fire, students. Feel the cobra within," he bellowed, his voice echoing weakly in the half-empty dojo. He wiped his brow, the bravado starting to crumble around the edges. He needed something, anything, to reignite the spark, to prove he still had it. Then he saw him. Specialist Miller, ramrod straight and impossibly still near the back, watching with an unreadable expression. An idea, ludicrous and desperate, clawed its way into Kevin's mind. Ignoring the hushed reverence that clung to Miller like a shroud, Kevin marched towards him, forcing a smile. Specialist Miller, right? Kevin Chan. Listen, I know this is probably bad timing, but I couldn't help but notice you're, well, built. I was thinking, maybe, just for fun, a friendly sparring match. Nothing serious, just to loosen up. A collective gasp rippled through the small crowd that had gathered. Even Timmy, bless his heart, looked like he was about to faint. The air thickened with disapproval, a palpable wave of disbelief washing over the dojo. This wasn't a request, it was sacrilege. Miller didn't flinch. His eyes, dark and deep-set, remained fixed on Kevin. The silence stretched, punctuated only by the frantic thumping of Kevin's own heart. He swallowed hard, regretting the words as they hung in the air, thick and heavy with foolish pride. Unwavering duty. Miller, Kevin said, his voice tight, just one round. That's all I'm asking. Specialist Miller remained motionless, a granite statue in his dress uniform. His gaze, fixed on the distant horizon, didn't waver. The humid Virginia air hung heavy, doing nothing to soften the rigid lines of Miller's jaw. Not a muscle twitched. Kevin shifted his weight, the polished marble of the amphitheater cold beneath his thin-soled shoes. He ran a hand through his cropped hair. Look, I need this. Badly. I need to feel something other than this crushing doubt. Silence. The kind that amplified the cicada's drone to a deafening shriek. Kevin's frustration spiraled. He could practically taste the metallic tang of anxiety on his tongue. He balled his fists, resisting the urge to shout. How could someone be so unyielding? This isn't some disrespect thing, Miller. I know what this place means. I get it. But you're a warrior, right? So am I. We both understand the need to test ourselves. Miller slowly, deliberately, shifted his rifle a fraction of an inch, ensuring its alignment was perfect. The movement, so small, so precise, felt like a deliberate act of defiance. Kevin's breath hitched. The air vibrated with unspoken refusal. The scent of freshly cut grass, usually calming, now felt like a suffocating reminder of the pristine, untouchable world Miller inhabited. A world Kevin desperately wanted to crack. Taunts and empty displays. Come on, Miller. Loosen up a little, huh? You're stiffer than that granite behind you, Kevin's voice echoed, bouncing off the marble walls of the tomb. A nervous laugh rippled through the small crowd that had gathered, a mixture of curiosity and apprehension hanging heavy in the air. Miller remained motionless, his gaze fixed straight ahead, an unreadable mask etched onto his face. It was a stillness that infuriated Kevin. What's the matter? Scared of a little fun? Kevin's tone dripped with mocking sweetness. He launched into a flurry of motion, a dizzying display of spinning kicks and rapid punches. Each movement was technically precise, yet lacked a certain groundedness, a centeredness. He finished with a loud yell, expecting to see some reaction, some flicker of emotion on Miller's face. Nothing. The silence stretched, broken only by the nervous shuffling of feet in the crowd. The air, thick with the scent of old stone and polished metal, felt increasingly oppressive. A woman coughed, trying to break the tension. Kevin, breathing heavily, glared at Miller, his confidence visibly crumbling. The empty display had achieved nothing but to highlight the hollowness within him, the desperate need for validation. The weight of the tomb, the solemnity of the occasion, seemed to press down on him, suffocating him. He was starting to sweat. This wasn't going as planned. A warning ignored. The desert wind whipped harder, stinging Kevin's eyes as he adjusted his stance, eager to prove himself. A shadow fell across the sand. He turned to see another tomb guard, Specialist Miller, approaching. Miller's face, etched with lines that spoke of harsh sun and harsher discipline, remained impassive. He stopped a respectful distance away. "Chen," Miller's voice was low, gravelly, barely audible above the wind's howl. "This is not a dojo. This is sacred ground. Show some respect." Kevin bristled. Respect? He was showing respect by wanting to learn from the best, by offering to spar with someone who was clearly bottled up. He saw the rigid set of Miller's jaw, the almost imperceptible tremor in his hands. This guy needed to loosen up, and Kevin, the Cobra, was just a man to help him. "Relax, Specialist," Kevin said, a smirk playing on his lips. "It's just a friendly spar. No harm, no foul." Besides, he lowered his voice, a conspiratorial tone creeping in, "you look like you could use the practice." Miller's eyes, dark and deep-set, narrowed slightly. The wind seemed to intensify, swirling sand around their feet, a silent warning ignored. "Leave, Chen. Before you disrespect yourself further." Kevin scoffed, his ego eclipsing any shred of sense. "Disrespect myself? I'm about to make history." He raised his fist again, adrenaline surging through him, a dangerous cocktail of insecurity and arrogance fueling his recklessness. "Are you in, or are you out, Specialist? Don't be scared to show me what you've got." The silent strike. Kevin circled, a low growl rumbling in his chest, more for show than genuine aggression. The tomb guard, Miller, stood motionless, an unyielding pillar of granite. Sweat trickled down Kevin's temples, stinging his eyes. He feinted left, then right, trying to gauge some reaction, any flicker of movement. Nothing. He had to do something. He couldn't just stand here, paralyzed by Miller's implacable stillness. Closing the distance, Kevin reached out, a quick, light touch aimed at Miller's shoulder, the agreed-upon signal to begin the spar. The reaction was instantaneous, a blur of disciplined motion. Miller's hand shot out, not with a wild swing, but a precise, controlled block that intercepted Kevin's touch a hair's breadth from its target. The force wasn't brutal, but perfectly leveraged, redirecting Kevin's momentum. Before Kevin could even register what happened, Miller's other hand, moving with the speed of a striking viper, gently pressed against Kevin's chest, just below the sternum. It wasn't a push. It was a placement, a subtle application of pressure that disrupted Kevin's balance. His feet tangled, his arms windmilled, and he stumbled backward, landing heavily on his backside. The air rushed from his lungs. He stared up at Miller, who remained perfectly still, his face an impassive mask. The only sound was the ragged rasp of Kevin's breath. The courtyard held its breath, the silence thick and heavy. Humility and regret. The air crackled. Everyone, even the few tourists who'd remained, gasped. Miller hadn't moved a muscle save for the almost imperceptible shift of his weight, yet Kevin lay sprawled on the cold marble, the wind knocked clean out of him. He tasted dust and a profound, sickening shame. Kevin pushed himself up, his GI rumpled, his face burning. He caught Miller's gaze, an unreadable obsidian depth, and a wave of nausea washed over him. I didn't mean." The words choked in his throat. He'd come here, puffed up with arrogance, a cobra ready to strike. Now, he was just a deflated balloon, all hiss and no venom. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." Miller simply inclined his head, a gesture that conveyed neither forgiveness nor condemnation, just a stark, immutable judgment. The movement was so minimal it was easy to miss, but it was there. Kevin swallowed, the lump in his throat refusing to budge. He wanted to explain, to justify his actions, to somehow salvage a shred of dignity. But the words wouldn't come. They felt hollow, meaningless in the face of Miller's quiet strength and his own spectacular failure. Without another word, Miller turned, his movements precise and deliberate, and resumed his post. The change was seamless, as if the entire encounter had been a figment of Kevin's imagination. The only evidence was the lingering scent of sweat and the throbbing ache in Kevin's ribs. The crowd remained silent, watching Miller with renewed awe. The incident was over, but for Kevin, the humiliation had only just begun. Lessons learned. Specialist Davies stood ramrod straight, the crisp afternoon light glinting off his polished boots. "It isn't about fighting, Chang," he said, his voice low but firm. "It's about sacrifice. Every tomb guard here has volunteered. They've endured months of grueling training, pushing themselves beyond their limits, not to break bones, but to uphold a sacred trust." Kevin shifted uncomfortably, the weight of his arrogance pressing down on him. Davies continued, "They memorize Arlington's history, the lives lost, the battles fought. They practice their movements until they're flawless, each step a prayer, each turn a solemn vow." He paused, his gaze piercing. "This isn't some dojo, Chen. It's hallowed ground." The air thrummed with a newfound tension, different from the competitive fire he usually thrived on. It was the quiet intensity of unwavering dedication. He pictured the stoic guards, their faces etched with resolve, and finally understood. It wasn't about physical prowess, it was about embodying something larger than themselves. Respect. He'd come here seeking a challenge, seeking to prove himself. But he'd been blind to the true challenge, humility. Kevin nodded slowly, the fire in his eyes replaced with a flicker of understanding. I get it," he mumbled, the words feeling inadequate. Davies simply inclined his head. "Good." Kevin turned and walked away, the weight of his earlier actions heavy on his shoulders. The manicured lawns of Arlington seemed to stretch endlessly before him, each blade of grass a reminder of the solemnity he had almost defiled. He was still a fighter, still driven, but now, something had fundamentally shifted. He had a long way to go.